path to glory in the car world is paved with the bones of hundreds of companies who've all promised the earth only to vanish without a trace. You'll get some new, exciting, exotically named business crop up out of nowhere. They might have themselves a hotshot designer, some brilliant sketches, perhaps the odd 3D rendering. They'll make some incredible, bold claims, no doubt along the lines of being the fastest in a straight line, the quickest round a very well-known German track, or something else like that. They often carry price tags which seem either unreasonably cheap or impossibly expensive. Some of them might seem like they're coming painfully close to production, and then they're gone, without a trace, like ghosts disappearing into the ether. Zenos was a company that started very much like that, but I was convinced, as were many others, that they had managed to break the cycle. They had joined the ranks of Pagani, Koenigsegg and others and managed to make it into the world of production cars. The template Zenos followed was again a rather popular one. They had an exciting chassis, a very track-biased car, mated to an off-the-shelf, readily available Ford engine. They had some pretty decent personnel. Ansar Ali was one of their heads, and he'd been the CEO of Caterham and Lotus. I actually sat down and had a meeting with the man before I even started my YouTube career, and I was supposed to get a Zenos as my first ever factory press car. I was incredibly excited. I was going to have the car in late December, and the weather was a little bit rubbish, so a friend of mine who worked for him said, "Tell you what, why don't we postpone till January? Not only will the weather hopefully be a bit better, but we can also get you the E10S, which Jeremy Clarkson had just driven on, I think, the last of the Top Gears, if not one of the first of the Grand Tours." I said, "Great, fantastic, brilliant, really looking forward to that." Then come January, he phoned me and said, "I'm really sorry, chap, you're not going to be driving a car. We've just gone to the office and it's locked." I don't know the exact numbers of cars produced, but it was in the tens. They were getting them out there. Things seemed to be going right. So what went wrong? There was money behind the company, including some, allegedly, from Hugh Grant. Yes, that Hugh Grant, the actor. A few people have told me that Zenos was losing quite a lot of money, and that was by design. They knew that the first years of production were going to be painful, but that eventually they were going to start making some, and then things would be okay. But the forces behind it grew tired of losing so much cash, so they simply pulled the plug. They were officially rescued by AC Cars, and their website is still live now, making out like you can buy a new vehicle when you cannot, unless I'm very much mistaken. What surprised me about that more than anything else was the fact that AC Cars was still a going concern, which I did not realise. The E10, what is it all about? Well, it is one of many track day orientated vehicles. As you can tell, and I'm afraid probably here, there's no roof or windows. You do have a windscreen, which is better than some other vehicles, and behind you you've got a 2.3 litre turbocharged Ford engine, as you would find in the Focus RS. Headline figures: a dry weight of 700 kilos from a very clever chassis, and 350 horsepower and about 350 pound-foot of torque, or 470 newton meters, I think. This car is also equipped with the Track Pack and Weather Pack, meaning that it has things like an uprated brake master cylinder, these carbon bucket seats, a 6-speed short shift gearbox, and adjustable suspension. The Weather Pack gets you the heated windscreen, the Get Me Home cover, which is what it says on the tin. It's not really a roof, it just keeps the worst of the weather out, and that's about it. How much were you going to pay for this car when it was new? About £46,000. I was very, very excited to drive this car, but I have to say, right about now, there's one thing that I'm really not enjoying. That's loud. Really, really loud. This is another car supplied by the good guys at Total Headturners of Essex. They specialise in Cobra GT40 replicas, and those, I'm pretty sure, are quieter and more refined than this, at least in some ways. The core chassis of this car is actually very impressive. It's a very clever piece of engineering. It is essentially 2 recycled carbon plates with a load of drink straws in the middle. Not quite drink straws, but they are supplied by the same company who make the straws for McDonald's. So it's almost like a mattress. Imagine instead of springs, you got these straws in the middle between 2 sheets of composite. Makes it very, very stiff and very, very lightweight. Very clever.
That 5-piece chassis was bonded to an aluminium central spine, and the bodywork comprised of 18 separate pieces. Their logic was that in the event of an accident, it would help keep the cost of repair down, unlike a Lotus where a low-speed shunt could potentially write off a car due to the cost of replacing one of the clamshells. Elsewhere in the car, Ford parts were used extensively to keep maintenance affordable. It was a very well thought out car, and thanks to Car Obsession for these pictures from the Zenos factory.
At the front, you've got push-rod suspension like you'd get in a racing car, a Lamborghini Aventador, something like that. Unfortunately, it's really not a details car. The front and rear panel, which simply come off rather than lifting, have these annoying little locks on them that you've got to open with the cheapest feeling key. And when you're paying close to 50 grand for one of these, that's not very good. These indicator stalks are very familiar because they are the same ones that Lotus are still using in the Elise and were using 25 years ago. I don't know why they chose to put these in a brand new design. Bits of the interior are also literally falling off. This center console trim here was held on by sticky tape, which has come apart. It's bad. It's really bad. But this is not the kind of car that you buy for its fit and finish. You buy it for the way it goes down a road. So how does it fare there? Well, it's complicated. It's really complicated. Never have I had such mixed feelings about a car, truly and honestly. That engine is absolutely hateful. It's horrible. It has no place in this chassis. Yes, it's got the power, but in fairness, it doesn't feel that rapid when you look at the numbers. And the joy of a super lightweight car is that it doesn't need huge torque or power. They are simply unnecessary. It also hurts you when you lift off. Seriously, listen. Ow! This is the worst sounding car I've ever driven. It's horrible, 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 horrible. I just want it to be silent. I'd prefer it if it was electric. It's nasty. And because it's turbocharged, you stab the throttle and not a lot really happens. Maybe I've been spoiled because this week I've been driving all these AC Cobras and things which are similarly lightweight but powered by these thumping great big old school American engines. And you know what? They would be a much, much better partner for this, but, and it's a big but, this chassis is something else. This car is seriously quick, but it's so engaging and it's so confidence inspiring. It's next level. The unassisted steering, absolutely perfect. View out the front, brilliant. You can place the car perfectly. View out the back, actually straight back is okay. It's your rear corner there, which is terrible because of that big hump that the car's got. This thing completely destroys the road. It's so sure-footed. It's so well judged. It is superb. I am so torn. I don't know if I love it or if I want to set fire to it. I don't know. I really, really don't. Hundreds and hundreds of cars I've driven, and never have I been this torn as to what I think. This is getting annoying, but I suppose that's not really their fault. Seats, perfect. I'm not sure if they're tillets. I know they were experimenting with tillets, but they also thought they were a bit too expensive at the time. So these are either tillets or something very close. But they are brilliant. I'm fitting them perfectly, believe it or not, and they're wonderful. There's plenty of room in the chassis. It's a little bit snug, but any vehicle with an open roof, you don't get too claustrophobic in. Ah! If I was going to have one of these, I think what I'd do, I'd buy the regular E10, which has a 2-litre naturally aspirated version of this engine, or a Ford engine anyway. I think it's about 200 horsepower. Maybe put some ITBs on it, something like that. Because that's just obnoxious, that's just horrible. Pretty sure the turbo and some other gubbins are right behind your head. Ow! I mean, it is quick. Brakes do need a firm old press, and that's fine. It does kind of worry me that the track pack came with an uprated master cylinder, because cars like this are built for track use. That is their raison d'etre. Nobody was going to buy this just to bimble around on the roads, particularly not the R version, so I don't know why they think that the regular master cylinder just can't cope. That's not confidence inspiring. It's magic. The chassis, I want earplugs. That's what I want earplugs. And I bet you they developed this thing probably wearing a race helmet with earplugs, and they probably couldn't see any problem at all with anything. Thought everything was dandy and great, but I wish they were still around, because there is so much promise in this car. Yes, there's some big old issues with it, but my life, as a first attempt, it's not bad. I am a real die-hard Lotus fan, and these things were constructed, or certainly the first ones were constructed, a stone's throw away from the Lotus factory. And I am not joking. If you had someone with a good arm, I'm pretty sure from parts of Lotus's land, you could hit the Zenos factory. If you don't believe me, look up the Hethel Engineering Centre, because that's where they were based. Oh, Zenos, you do vex me so. That damping really is supernaturally good, in the way that only something this low, light and stiff can ever be. Big heavy cars just can't drive like this. If you want a track day toy and a B-road blaster, yeah, it's brilliant, absolutely fantastic, but buy earplugs. That's my advice. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, comment below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye bye.